representing the PTO Council. Wanted to share with you a little bit of what's going on that our PTOs are organizing for our students and staff throughout all of our buildings. I received reports from several of our elementaries. At George Washington, they are in full swing with accelerated reading. Students have been celebrating each week with a different Dr. Seuss book. This week's book is Fox and Socks, and students were asked to wear silly socks throughout the week. They also celebrated Washington Day on February 16th by wearing red, white, and blue and signing a pledge to be you. And our second graders also did their annual President's Song that each year that they do. So it's a nice way to learn all the presidents. It's interesting to hear them sing it. It's great. Today the students participated in the Jump Rope for Heart Jump-a-thon, and all the money raised will go to the American Heart Association. And then this evening at George Washington was the annual health fair, and the health fair included vendors such as I9 Sports, Gymkhana, Fleet Feet, and many other vendors. And students were asked to submit game ideas to be played at the fair. 8 lucky students were picked to have lunch with Mr. Pearson, and all proceeds will go to the American Heart Association. Washington is also in full swing of their We Run Wednesdays, and that is in part of the training for the Kids Marathon, and all the students that are participating will run every Wednesday in preparation for the marathon, as I said, until May. Next week is a coin drive for the Special Olympics, and then coming up on March 13th at George Washington is the Art and Science Fair. At Memorial, they said their readathon was a success. Students went into overdrive to compete for the top reader and top earner for the chance to have breakfast with Mr. Chalice. Some kids read over 2,000 minutes over the course of a 2-week period. At William Penn, the William Penn PTO celebrated the 100th day of school by giving out gift cards every 100 minutes to one student from each class. They gave out a total of 44 gift cards from Five Below, Target, and half-price books. The William Penn PTO kicked off the Character Trait Education Program this year by asking all students to wear a special color that coordinates with the trait of the month. This month's trait is loyalty, and the corresponding color is red. The students wore red on Friday, February 6th, to show their loyalty. The William Penn PTO had their Valentine's Day parties on February 13th, and the PTO bought sugar cookies from Metz for the kids' party packs. The William Penn PTO has started their Sarah's Candy fundraiser to support the Rosemary Gaynor Memorial Scholarship. The scholarship is a $1,000 grant available to Bethel Park High School seniors who is an alumnus of William Penn. And finally, at William Penn, they had their biggest fundraiser, the Calendar Party, which was held on February 21st at the Bethel Park Community Center. Despite the weather, they had a very good turnout and raised more money than they had last year. And our other school that reported was IMS. They said that they are in limbo right now from the last report, and they're in the planning stages of staff appreciation, the 8th grade fun day, and the 7th grade social. Thank you for having me.
Great, thank you for being here. Solicitor's report.
A written report was being prepared and will be submitted to the board through district administration.
Thank you. We haven't had any additional committee meetings, but we do have 2 upcoming in March. Finance, March 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And curriculum, 16th. Okay. Any public comment on agenda items this evening? Then we will move into business items. Curriculum Committee, Mr. Ametitz, will you take Curriculum Committee for me this evening, please?
I can do that this evening. This evening we have 3 items under Curriculum Committee. Would anybody want any of these held out?
Number 2, please.
Number 2. Any other one? Hearing none, I move the approval of number 1, which reads approval of curricula, and it is the honors economics. And number 3, the local holidays, which reads the Board of School Directors approves the administration's recommendation to approve the following dates as local holidays, which are November 27th, 2015, December 24th, 2015, December 28th, 2015, and March 25th, 2016.
Second.
Items 1 and 3 under Curriculum Committee have been moved by Mr. Ametitz and seconded by Mr. Means. Any questions or comments on these items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those items carry 8-0. Mr. Ametitz.
We have one item left, that is number 2, the 2015-2015 school calendar. I move number 2.
Second.
Item 2 under Curriculum Committee has been moved by Mr. Amidits and seconded by Mr. Means. Any discussion of this item?
I just want to say that given the homogeneous ethnicity of our community and faculty and students, I think that it behooves us to honor Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday in January and President's Day in February every year, not on an every other year basis. So I will be voting no on this particular calendar.
Any other questions or comments on this
In-
item?
In this year in discussion, though, from what I understand, if we'd honored both of those holidays, which I think are appropriate to do as well, it would interfere with some other delay, some like the spring break, would it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And the students will have both holidays. Any other discussion on this item? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
That item carries 7-1. Personnel Committee and Mrs. Rule.
There are 6 items under personnel. Are there any that anyone would like to have held out? If not, I move that we approve item 1, approval of substitutes, 2, approval of extra duty responsibility program, 3, acceptance of a resignation, 4, appointment of personnel, 5, approval of revised handbook for confidential employees, and 6, approval to extend temporary assignment of long-term substitutes.
Second.
Items 1 through 6 under Personnel have been moved by Mrs. Rule and seconded by Mr. Means. Any questions or comments on any of these items? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those items carry 8-0. Facilities and Services Committee and Mr. Spacuzza.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. Seeing 3 items under Facility and Services this evening, I move, would anyone like any of the items held out separately? Seeing none, I move the following 3 items. Item number 1, the approval of the change order for the fence bid for the high school baseball softball field. Item number 2, the Washington Elementary School renovation project. And item number 3, the Washington Elementary School project renovation project.
Second.
Items 1 through 3 under Facilities and Services Committee has been moved by Mr. Spacuzza and seconded by Mr. Means. Any questions or comments on any of these items? Just to reiterate, Mr. Howard, on item 1 with the fencing, the project cost of $44,000, contained in that is a donation.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, we received a $10,000 donation from the baseball boosters.
Awesome.
Okay, so then the funds coming from capital reserve then would be
Would be $10,000 less.
$10,000
yes,
less. Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Howard, could you please give a 60-second explanation of number 2?
Well, items 2 and 3 are similar. Item 2 is to approve the architect to continue the process and prepare the construction bidding documents. And then item 3 is to continue our relationship with Train and do the project through the Cooperative Purchasing Network, or known as the TCPN network.
But this is for a much-needed revamp of the
Sure.
HVAC.
Yeah, this work will be done at the Washington Elementary School. It'll be replacing all of the HVAC equipment except for the boilers. It'll also be doing LED lighting and new ceilings and new carpet throughout the building.
And the LED lighting is pretty much mandated by law because the existing lights are being phased out.
Right, the T12 lights that we have in the building, we can no longer purchase. Now, there are some other options, but we do feel that LED is the best option for the district.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on these items? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Those items carry 8-0. Finance Committee and Dr. Campbell.
Madam President, there are 9 items presented from the Finance Committee. Would any of the school directors wish to have an item held out? Hearing none, I move that the board approve item 1, February 2015, salaries and bills. Number 2, January 2015 financial report. Number 3, budgetary transfers. Number 4, acceptance of the audit report for the year ending in June 30th, 2014. Number 5, the AIU Joint Purchasing Board. Number 6, Information Technology 2015-2016 Service and Maintenance Contracts, the E-rate. Number 7, Regional Wide Area Network. Number 8, approval of the Comcast contract. Number 9, items declared unused and necessary. Be approved by the board for...
Second.
Items 1 through 9 under Finance Committee have been moved by Dr. Campbell and seconded by Mr. Spacuzza. Any questions or comments on these items?
I would just ask Mr. Ryer if he could, on number 7, address, real briefly again, why we're moving away from the AIU on this.
We're not.
This week's not, yeah.
Right.
We originally presented. Of course, originally we had 5 school districts, and as a result of the AIU making some changes to their network, 4 of the other 5 school districts decided to revert back to the AIU over the weekend, last weekend. These were very recent changes, and we were going to try to stay with our original plan. However, the original plan didn't work financially with only 1 district.
Thank you.
Is that good? Any other questions or comments on these items? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Those items carry 8-0. Dr. Campbell, will you continue for me with other this evening?
Sure, Madam President. There are 2 items presented under the other category. Would any of the school directors wish to have either of these items held out? Then, hearing none, I move that the Board of Directors approve item 1, board meetings, and item 2, approval of the resolution urging the General Assembly to establish a new funding formula for basic education.
Second.
Items 1 and 2 under other have been moved by Dr. Campbell and seconded by Mr. Spacuzza. Any questions or comments on these items?
Madam President, I'd like to talk a little bit about the resolution we care to pass as a board.
Thank you.
I've always been impressed that with people of my parents' generation, my mom, my dad, and folks of that generation, that they were kind of raised in the crucible of the Great Depression, and they had a lot of difficulties as a whole, as a generation. But one thing that was kind of unique with them is these people were almost always universally virtuous, honorable, hardworking men and women of integrity. In other words, when they said they were going to do something, they would do it. And they did what they said what they did. And Tom Brokaw wrote a book about this, The Greatest Generation. You may have read it. I guess it was out like about 15 years ago. And I just wish I could say that our state legislature would do the same thing. We have a moving target perpetually, and it's kind of so difficult for us as a school board to be able to run the finances, run the plan, go ahead and make the necessary preparations to take care of our district. And a lot of it is the state's doing. For instance, like with the PESers, we're seeing a radical increase in the amount that we have to kick in to our pension plans for our teachers, which they aptly deserve. But the state didn't necessarily honor their part of that. The formula is not even, the playing field's not even also for the different school districts and how they're reimbursed. If you go back, I think, to the original 1949 school code, when I read it, our funding for our district is supposed to be 50% from the state and 50% from our local taxes, our local people, the folks here in Bethel Park, the citizens. But that's not the case. And each year we see a dwindling amount of money that comes back from the state. And where do we have to make that up? Our local taxes. That's not fair. That's not what we signed up for. That's not what they signed up for. So as a consequence, we cobbled together a resolution that kind of talks to that effect. And we want to send this to our state legislators. This has 6 whereases and 3 resolves. I'm going to read it if you wanted me to, Madam
Yes, I would like you
President.
to read that into the record. Thank you.
Resolution urging the General Assembly to establish new funding formula for basic education by the Board of Directors of Bethel Park School District. Whereas Pennsylvania's more than 1.8 million public school students deserve the highest quality of education, and, second whereas, the state's contribution in funding public education as a percentage of basic instructional expenses has declined from over 50% in the mid-'70s to less than 35% today, and on average, other states contribute 44%. On average, other states contribute 44% of total education funding. Pennsylvania ranks 47th in the 50 states in the amount of state subsidies allocated to support elementary and secondary education, and ranks 8th in the reliance on local taxes. Bethel Park, our state funding levels for the 2013-2014 school year, as represented by our local auditors, as we heard last week, or week before last, 25.5%. It's a far cry from the 50% in the 70s. Whereas as the state share of the K through 12 education funding decreases while the number of state and federal mandates that we're obligated to for public schools steadily increases each year, additional burden is placed upon our local taxpayers to make up the difference to ensure that our students' education is not jeopardized. Whereas in recent years, basic education funding has been distributed without the benefit of a funding formula, while the lack of a reliable, fair, transparent funding formula, resulting in great disparities in how state education funds are distributed to to school districts. And whereas these inequities effectively harm the ability of school districts to adequately and fairly provide the resources for the different needs of their students, especially those in poverty, those with disabilities, English language learners, and other students, and whereas the Bethel Park School District supports the development of a system of public school financing that addresses the need of school districts and students and establishes a school funding formula that is equitable, adequate, comprehensive, and consistent. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Bethel Park School District urges the General Assembly to reinvest its interest in the support of public schools by taking legislative action to establish a formula that is predictable and addresses the adequacy and equity for all school districts, and be it further resolved that the Bethel Park School District will encourage others, including parents, students, and district taxpayers, to contact the Pennsylvania General Assembly to convey the importance of establishing fair and equitable public school funding formula. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution submitted to the elected senators and representatives of the Bethel Park School District in the General Assembly and to the Governor of Pennsylvania.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes, sir?
One other comment I would have is that the way the scheduling works out, usually we have to come up with our budget and our millage rates, our tax rates, before the budget is passed at the state legislature. So we're kind of shooting in the dark, not knowing what money's going to come in for that year.
Just for those in attendance, what Mr. Means is talking to as well, we will go through probably 10 to sometimes 12 or more different iterations of the budget that we have to pass. We have started working on this already. That's why we're having another finance committee in the near future to try to go ahead and plan. It's hard to plan if you don't know what you're getting from the state. It really is hard. And where do we have to ultimately drive that home? To our taxpayers? Is that fair? I think not.
It's Dr. Campbell, the comment I'd like to make, I was at a, not locally to Bethel Park, but to the Western Pennsylvania region at a Chamber of Commerce event, and one of our state legislators, I had brought up the point that you mentioned about the 1949 school code, and he told me absolutely that that didn't exist. So I believe this is why we need to do this. They do not know.
When I became a school director, that was the packet that I was given. It was in one of the first things I read. I'm there, oh, this is interesting. Boy, I'd like to get into this finance committee and finally learn a little bit more about that.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those carry 8-0. Public comments on anything you wish to address the board about this evening? Seeing none, I'll move into board comments. I'm down at your end, Mrs. Dobas, to start.
I just want to let everyone know that the poetry reading that was scheduled this past Sunday was canceled because of weather, celebrating Black History Month, and where high school students are reading poems by various American Black poets. It was canceled last weekend. It's rescheduled for this Sunday at 1 o'clock at the high school, so hopefully everyone will be able to come.
Great, thanks. Mr. Means.
I'd just like to congratulate all the students on their achievements that we saw, and just say, you know, Bethel Park really is a good place to live, and I'm glad and fortunate to live here. We have a good community, good people live here. We have an excellent school district where the sky's the limit. People can learn and do as well as they wish to.
Thank you. Mr. Spicuzza.
I'm just going to keep it brief tonight. I'm still not quite warm from the rest of the week. And I won't mention anything about my other position, my real job. That's for Dr. Campbell. That's just a little inside. Now I forgot what I was going to say.
You preempted it with all of that discussion there.
I did. I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks. Mrs. Rule.
The Steele Center student had two students who refinished two real old cars that two owners had given to the school so that they could use them in competition. They took first and second place, and they had them displayed at the auto show. They were just absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, in some sense, they had to give them back to the owners because the owners just really lent them to work them over, and they were just beautiful. They just got two classic cars, are just gorgeous. But next year, they've decided they're going to buy their own old car, and this way, then they will sell it and make some money on it when it's finished.
Nice.
So that's good. They're really coming up with some creative ideas. They did a beautiful job. And the other thing is the Santa breakfast went so well here with the DECA students that we are now going to do a bunny brunch on March the 28th, and we're looking for a bunny suit. So March the 28th at 11 to 1:30.
Great. That's it. Sounds good.
I'd like to
Mr.
give
Shebel.
congratulations to our boys and girls basketball teams. Both had very good years. In fact, our girls won the section title. Our boys advanced to the playoffs. They lost last night, but both teams had really good years. Also, I'd like to shout out to our maintenance and groundskeeper. Very difficult year in terms of cleaning snow and desalting, and they've done a wonderful job in a very difficult set of circumstances.
Dr. Campbell.
Oh my gosh, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'd make you all nauseous. You know, they don't have that much nausea medicine. You know, so,
Whereas and unto.
Whereas. I kindly pass my time to the esteemed Mr. Amaditz.
No comments for me, none.
I'd just like to say thanks to everyone for all that they do all the time, and I agree, Bethel Park's a great place to live and to be associated with these fine board members.
Motion to move, close, Madam President.
Thank you. I
Adjourn.
need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. I need my board back for just a few minutes, please.
invitation for you.
We would like you to join us for the Bethel Park Cheerleaders and Boosters 25th Annual Spring Fashion Show that benefits Allegheny County Special Olympics.
This year's Sweetest Adventure theme show will be held on Sunday, March 22nd, 2015. It will be held at the Independence Middle School's auditorium. Doors open at noon.
Tickets are $5 for adults and $3 for students. We have had incredible support from the community for this annual event in years past, and all proceeds go directly to this very worthwhile charity.
Last year, the fashion show resulted in a donation of $9,000.
Bethel Park Cheerleading Boosters Association's total donation from the past 2 decades has raised more than $176,000.
Your support on behalf of this very important cause will help to raise money to enrich the lives of Special Olympic athletes throughout Allegheny County.
Through your support, these very special athletes will be given opportunities to train and compete in 19 different sports throughout the year. Each year, we invite an ambassador to participate in this exciting charitable event. This year, we have 3 special guests.
We are pleased to introduce our 2015 Special Olympic athletes and Jessica Clayton, who is the Special Olympics of Allegheny County Global Messenger. Our special ambassadors are Aiden Marple and Molly Mathias.
There is a wonderful afternoon planned with fashion from many local stores.
Please come to see us model at the fashion show while you help support the Allegheny County Special Olympics, which has done so much to support Special Olympic athletes.
There's also a fabulous basket auction and light refreshments.
Our primary source of fundraising comes from the basket auction, where the baskets are made from items donated by local businesses.
Please join us on Sunday, March 22nd at 1 p.m. at Independence Middle School. For tickets, please see any Bethel Park cheerleader or call Devin Rutherford at 412-851-1276. Please support Special Olympics.